everybody, it's the Warhipster here, coming at you with another Contrast Plus painting tutorial of truly epic proportions. Yes, we are back once more with another big old monster. And as you know, these are amongst my favourite things to paint. We have the new Chaos Lord on Chaos Dragon, I think is what it's called. The Games Workshop has very kindly sent me early to build up a paint with all of you, and this thing is enormous. It is truly spectacular in size. Here is a Kassakin. Size comparison. So yes, here it is. I've built the Chaos Lord on Dragon rather than the Sorcerer version. And, well, big thank you to Games Workshop. So let's jump in and start painting this guy because, you know, it's going to take a little while. So, he's been primed in grey here. We're going to do what we normally do with big monsters. We're going to start with the wings, move down, make our way down the body, and take this just a section at a time, really. And the colour we're going to be using first to do exactly that is a roughly 2 parts Guilliman Flesh to 1 part Lamia medium mix. Now the trick here is to know exactly where to start, so we're just going to start right in down here where the scale is. That's where we're going to go, and then we're going to start using big broad brush strokes to pull this colour up and over the wing membranes. Now we want to watch for that exact thing happening, and just move that paint along like this sort of thing. You want to take this really steadily. Like I said, just a section at a time. So this first section is a big one because we're going all the way to that spine. Oh. Yeah, it is a spine. It's a wing spine. So we're going to be applying this over top of anything that's wing shaped, any membranes, and there is a couple of these on the face. Now, quite often when we do these sorts of things, we would leave that until later when we hit the body, but we might as well do this now because, well, as big and impressive as this guy is, it's not actually the most varied paint job in the world. That's one of the really truly impressive things about it. The wings are a deal, and then most of the dragon is red, brown and black. You just want to, there we go. There's a whole section done, and thankfully the wing membranes, well, the spines of the wings themselves, they're a really nice dark colour, so it doesn't actually matter too much if we get this on there because we're going to cover it up later with a much darker colour, so that's okay. Missed just a tiny little bit there. Okay, I think we're good now. There we go. Alright, so now we move on to the next bit. So with all of that Guilliman Flesh and Lamia medium mix applied, what we're then going to do is we're going to take another mix of a roughly sort of 3 parts Lamia medium to 1 part Berserker Bloodshade mix. We are now going to apply this over the top. So with that Berserker Bloodshade all applied, what we're now going to do is we're going to take a 1-to-1 mix of Lahmian Medium and Carroburg Crimson. We're going to do a bit of blending here. Helpfully it's around the structures. So what we're going to do is we'll start down here and we're just going to apply this Carroburg Crimson mix in here, like so. And we're going to bring it up along there, like that. And then we're going to wash the brush, touch off the water, and then we're just going to feather away at that hard transition line to give us that sort of lovely sort of red inflamed area. We'll do the same thing here. Like so. Wash the brush. Get rid of the water. Then give it the old blendy blends. Just like that. So with that blending all done to the wings, what we're now going to do is we're going to dry brush those wing membranes very gently now with some Flayed One Flesh. And what we want to do is just very, very carefully catch basically the ridges and the veins. So with that all done to the wing membranes, the next colour to use is to move on to the body. Well, the next place to go is to move on to the body. And the next colour to use is Baal Red. Makes the most sense. And actually this is one of the things where we're going to actually be providing a lot of hard stops for all the red. So what we're looking for is really all the kind of soft inner areas. And it starts at the elbow of the wing here. On the arms or wings, like that. Now I'd recommend having the box art open in front of you to see where all the red goes, because there is a lot of red. But just take your time. With all of that red applied, before we shade it, I'm going to wait for it to fully dry. So what we're going to do next is we're going to take a roughly 2 parts Cygor Brown to 1 part Lahmian Medium mix. We're going to apply this over top of all the remaining areas on the body, which is going to create quite a hard stop. But that's okay, because we're going to do a sort of corrective and blendy glaze a little bit later, once we've got all the shading on. With all of that Cygor Brown now applied, what we're going to do is we're going to take a roughly 1-to-1 mix of Lahmian Medium and Agrax Earthshade. We're going to apply this over top of all the red. So with all of that Agrax Earthshade applied, what we're now going to do is we're going to do that fancy glaze. The fancy glaze is going to be a roughly 5 parts Lahmian Medium to 1 part Rhinox Hide. And where we have the colours meeting, we're going to apply this, and just like we did on the wings, we're going to blend it as well. So I'm going to apply this like so, down that shoulder, wash the brush, and then just feather away at the transition like that. So with our transitions now all applied, should be looking pretty smooth and cool. So what we're going to do next is we're going to dry brush all of our brown, and we're going to dry brush this with some Gorthor Brown. And with that Gorthor Brown dry brush all applied, we're then going to do another dry brush, and this one's going to be really gentle here, and it's just going to be in certain little areas where we want to add a little bit of extra brightness. It's going to be some Karak Stone. So for example, just there on that wrist, across these knuckles, like that. I'm going to do a little bit over the shoulder, and the elbow. Do some coming down the knee. Around here, and the wrist, across the head, so on and so forth. Just adding just a little touch of light here and there. Not too much. So with those dry brushes all applied, we are now going to take some Black Legion, and we're going to apply this over top of any spikes, any claws, and any talons. And this is going to include the big ones in and amongst the brown. With all of that Black Legion applied, we are then going to take some Shyish Purple. And we're going to apply this to the inside of the mouths, the teeth, and the tongues. With that Shyish Purple all applied, believe it or not, the Chaos Dragon is now at what I would call a Warhipster battle ready, excluding of course the Lord on the back. So what we're going to do now is we're going to highlight the last few bits on the dragon and then we'll move on to the Lord. So, the colour we're going to be using first is some thinned down Evil Sunz Scarlet. I'm going to use this to highlight the red. And with that red all highlighted, we're then going to take some Sotek Green. I'm going to use this to dry brush all of our black horns. And with that Sotek Green dry brush all applied, we're then going to take some Fenrisian Grey. And we're going to very, very gently just try and hit the sharpest points in all these black details. So with that all done, we are then going to take a teensy tiny little dot of Yriel Yellow. I'm going to apply this over top of the eyeballs of both heads. Just like that sort of thing. And with those eyes all complete, we then take a little bit of some thinned down Morghast Bone. And we use this to pick out the teeth. And so with that all done, to finish off the dragon, we're going to take some thinned down Warpfiend Grey. And we use this to add some little highlights to the tongue. So with the dragon all finished, it's now time to work on the Lord. What we're going to do is we're going to start off with some Cygor Brown. And we're going to apply this over top of the inside of his cloak. And the outside of the cloak actually, to be fair. But only on the smooth bits. with all that Cygor Brown applied, we then take some Garaghak Sewer and we apply this over top of all the fur. With that Garaghak Sewer all applied, we then take some Wyldwood and we apply this over top of the wood. So with that all done, we are now going to take some Black Templar. I'm going to use this to add just a little bit of variation towards the top of the furs by just applying it sort of just like that sort of thing. But what we're also going to do with the Black Templar is we're going to apply this over top of any leather and any hair. With that all done, we are then going to take some Gore-Grunta Fur and we're going to apply this over top of the 2 grips on his weapons. And with that all done, we're then going to take some Skeleton Horde and we're going to apply this over top of all the skulls and over top of his helmet horns. And with that Skeleton Horde all applied, we then take some Gryph-Charger Grey and we apply this over the top of the 2 non-scully bits. So there's this head here, and there's a hand back here. And with that all done, because everything that remains is metallic, what we're going to do is we're going to take some Agrax Earthshade and we're going to apply this over top of the top 2 sections of horn before we jump into a whole lot of silver. Pardon me, but there is one last contrast colour to apply, which is some Guilliman Flesh. It's going to be to the saddle blanket. Before we do the metallics, we actually are just going to highlight a bunch of this stuff, and we're going to do this with a dry brush. And that dry brush is going to be some Karak Stone. And we're basically just looking to dry brush all of our brown, our black, and our bone. So with that all done, we've now got rather a lot of Iron Warriors to apply. And we're going to apply this over pretty much all of our remaining details. So we're looking at all of the chainmail, scale mail, plate armor, weapons, big chaos star on the back. We are going to break it up a little bit. Such as the trim and stuff like that. The main thing we're applying here, of course, is Iron Warriors. With all of that silver now applied, we are now going to take some thin down Retributor Armour, and we're going to apply this over top of all the sort of embellishments, trim and things like that. So we've got this little chaos star here, like that. Got the decoration on both the weapons, stuff on the horns. Got the crown on one of our skulls. We're also going to apply this over top of his scale mail, I've just decided. And calling an audible. So with that all done, it's now time to add some shades. And we're going to start with some Gore-Grunta Fur here. And we're going to apply this over the top of the chainmail and the scale mail. And with that all done, we then take some Nuln Oil and apply this over top of the weapons silver. So the axe head and the sword blade. With that all done, we then take some Targor Rageshade and we apply this over top of all the remaining silver. And so with that all done, we are then going to shade all the gold using some Agrax Earthshade. So with those shades all applied, the Lord on the back is now what I would call a Warhipster battle ready. So we're still waiting for it to dry. So what we're going to do, whilst we're waiting for it to dry, is we're going to work on the base. And what we're going to do is we're going to take some Black Templar. And we're going to apply this over the top of the rock. It's a really simple base here, really. So with all of that Black Templar applied to the big rocks, we're actually now just going to leave it alone because the shading is now all dry. So what we're going to do is we're going to take some thinned down Iron Breaker. I'm going to use this to highlight all the silver. So with all of that Iron Breaker applied, what we're then going to do before we add our final highlight, which will be some Liberator Gold, we're going to take some Skeleton Horde and apply this over top of all the bones and skeletons down here on the base. And so now, whilst we wait for all of that skeleton horde to dry on the base, we're going to take some thin down Liberator Gold. I'm going to use this to highlight all the gold. So with that all done, our Chaos Dragon is now finished. I think it looks fantastic. So there's only one thing left to do, which is to dry brush all of this stuff on the base. And that colour we're going to be using to do that is, you guessed it, some Tyrant Skull. Now you're probably wondering what we're doing with the rest of the base. Well, for the rest of the base, we are going to be applying our usual Mediterranean base mix from Geek Gaming Scenics with some PVA glue, because that's what we do for all of our old world models. And there we have it, with that Mediterranean mix all applied to the base. Some PVA glue from Geek Gaming Scenics. Our Chaos Lord on Dragon is now finished. Oh boy. I mean, look at it. It's an absolutely ginormous model. It almost rivals Archaon for size. I'm not sure if it's the same size or a little bit smaller, but oh my goodness me.
If you enjoyed this video, you love the channel and you'd like to support me further, you absolutely can do so by heading to patreon.com/warhipster, just like all of these wonderful, amazing people have done. And alternatively, you could become a YouTube channel member by clicking on the join button below, exactly like these fabulous folks have done scrolling up on the screen before you. There are so many of you out there that it really takes my breath away, and I cannot thank you enough for everything you do, as without you I wouldn't be able to keep making these Contrast Plus videos. And if you really like this video and you want to send me a little thanks, just click on the thanks button just below this video. Don't forget to share it, like it, comment on it, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and to make sure you stay up to date, don't forget to click the bell icon. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all very soon in the next one. Happy wargaming.